Many countries and cities around the world are known for their tourist attractions, enchanting visitors from all corners with stunning landscapes, iconic landmarks, and a myriad of unique experiences. Destinations like New York, London, Paris, or paradisiacal beaches scattered along the coasts of various continents easily come to mind when we think of tourism. But have you ever stopped to wonder which place is the least visited on the planet? Today, we embark on a journey to discover Nauru, a tiny island lost in the middle of the Pacific, almost forgotten by the world. Nauru receives very few visitors. However, don't be fooled by the small size of this island. Its history and reality are so striking that they feel like something out of a suspense movie. Curious to learn how a tropical paradise became one of the most avoided places on the planet? Keep reading and prepare to uncover surprising facts about this fascinating and mysterious location. Before we start the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it encourages me to keep bringing more quality content to you. Nauru is literally an isolated point in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. When we talk about isolation, we're not exaggerating. The nearest inhabited island, Banaba in Kiribati, is more than 300 kilometers away. Reaching the nearest continent is an even greater challenge. Brisbane in Australia is nearly 3,000 kilometers away, or about a 5-hour flight. Honolulu in Hawaii is even farther, more than 4,000 kilometers away. Surrounded by coral reefs and with rugged terrain inland, Nauru exudes an air of mystery and exclusivity. The difficult access and limited infrastructure make this island a virtually unreachable destination. With only one international airport operating on a limited basis and no natural harbors, getting to Nauru is a true adventure. Reaching Nauru is already a challenge, but perceptions change completely upon setting foot on the island. With an area of just 21 square kilometers, Nauru is the third smallest country in the world, smaller than many neighborhoods in large cities. Everything on the island is within reach. The beaches, the administrative center, the residences, literally everything is very close. In terms of territory, Nauru is only larger than Vatican City and Monaco. However, while Vatican City is the spiritual heart of the Catholic Church and Monaco is synonymous with luxury on the French Riviera, Nauru is a nearly forgotten refuge, far from the global spotlight and virtually unknown to most people. If everything in Nauru seems to be just a few steps away, this is also reflected in its infrastructure. The island has only 30 kilometers of paved roads that encircle the entire country. It's possible to explore Nauru by car in just over an hour, without rushing, leaving plenty of time to enjoy the blue sea and surrounding landscapes. With only one gas station and very few vehicles, the concept of traffic jams is non-existent. In addition to the roads, Nauru also has a small railway line of nearly 4 kilometers, built in 1907 to transport phosphate. This track symbolizes both the island's former prosperity and its decline, as the same phosphate that brought wealth ultimately led to its ruin. Nauru is unique in many ways, including the fact that it does not have an official capital. While most countries have a designated city as their administrative center, Nauru takes a different approach. Instead of a capital, this role is assigned to the district of Yaren, located on the southern coast of the island. It is here that the parliament, embassies of countries like Taiwan and Australia, and the only international airport are located. However, Yaren is not a city in the traditional sense. It is an administrative area without the typical structure of a capital. This approach reflects the simplicity of the island and highlights its peculiarity compared to the rest of the world. In addition to lacking an official capital, Nauru is also one of the least visited countries in the world. Despite its paradisiacal landscapes and tropical charm, only about 200 tourists venture to visit it each year. But why so few visitors? The answer lies in the difficulties of reaching the island. Only one airline operates flights to Nauru, with limited schedules and high ticket prices. Furthermore, the process of obtaining a visa is quite bureaucratic, discouraging many potential travelers. As a result, fewer than 15,000 people have visited Nauru throughout its entire history. Visiting the island is like joining an exclusive club of explorers who have uncovered one of the Pacific's best-kept secrets. Another curiosity about Nauru is that the country does not have an armed force. There are no soldiers, tanks, or military bases on the island. The nation's security is ensured through a long-standing agreement with Australia, which takes responsibility for any external threats. This decision makes sense for a place so small and isolated. Instead of investing its limited resources in a military, Nauru chooses to focus on other areas, leaving external protection in the hands of the Australians. Internally, A small local police force is responsible for maintaining order and addressing everyday issues. It's a practical and efficient strategy for a country whose population could fit into a single neighborhood of a large city. Nauru is not alone in this approach. Other small countries and islands in the Pacific also rely on larger nations for their security. Now let's address a more serious topic: the health of the population. In addition to being one of the least visited countries in the world, Nauru holds a concerning title. It is one of the countries with the highest obesity rate on the planet. Approximately 80% of its population is overweight, and the problem goes far beyond genetics or lifestyle choices. Historically, in Nauru, obesity was seen as a sign of prosperity. Eating well was considered a symbol of status and health. Community leaders and chiefs displayed their bellies as trophies, representing success and happiness. However, this cultural view has had serious consequences. With the depletion of phosphate reserves and the resulting loss of fertile land, Nauruans became dependent on imported foods, which are highly processed and rich in fat and sugar. Without access to fresh and nutritious food, and with an increasingly sedentary lifestyle, the rates of illnesses such as diabetes and hypertension have skyrocketed. Today, about 40% of the population suffers from these conditions, reflecting a health crisis that challenges the island's future. Health in Nauru faces alarming challenges. Around 40% of the population suffers from diabetes, a condition that, for many, results in serious complications. Daily life becomes even more challenging for these individuals. Furthermore, tobacco addiction is another major problem. Nauru ranks among the countries with the highest rates of cigarette consumption in the world, exacerbating an already concerning public health scenario. For such a small nation, tackling these problems is a monumental challenge. Surprisingly, Nauru was once known as the richest island in the world. In the 1970s, thanks to phosphate mining, a natural resource formed over centuries by seabird excrement and known as white gold, the country experienced a period of unimaginable wealth. In 1975, Nauru's per capita income reached an astounding $176,000, more than 3 times the per capita income of the United States at the time. The abundance of money brought luxury and extravagance. Cadillacs, Land Rovers, and Jeeps cruised the island's few roads, while the government funded healthcare, education, housing, and even abolished taxes. Nauruans invested abroad, bought properties, and traveled the world as if the wealth would never run out. However, the magic didn't last long. Uncontrolled exploitation depleted the phosphate resources, and what was once a sea of money turned into a desert of debt. The golden era left behind abandoned cars, decaying buildings, and a population that saw their paradise turn into a nightmare. The reckless exploitation of phosphate not only led to economic ruin, but also caused unprecedented environmental devastation. The island's interior was transformed into barren terrain resembling the surface of the moon, covered with craters. Experts had been warning of environmental damage since the 1960s, claiming that Nauru would become uninhabitable. Fertile and vibrant land was replaced by a devastated wasteland. In 1962, Australian Prime Minister Robert Menzies acknowledged Australia's responsibility for Nauru's future, given the enormous profits derived from phosphate mining. There were even discussions about relocating the entire population to a nearby island, or even to New Zealand or the United Kingdom. By the 1990s, the situation was so critical that many believed the island would become completely uninhabitable. Recovering the land was considered an expensive and almost impossible challenge. Despite all migration proposals, the Nauruans decided to resist. Leaving their homeland was never an option. Even in the face of a desolate landscape and an uncertain future, the people of Nauru chose to stay and face the consequences of a wealth that, ironically, led to their downfall. Today, Nauru is one of the poorest nations in the world. The once abundant wealth has given way to a daily struggle with economic, social, and environmental challenges. The country now fights to rebuild its identity and ensure better conditions for its people, learning from the mistakes of the past. After phosphate reserves began to run out in the 1980s, Nauru plunged into a deep economic crisis. Without the resource that sustained its economy, the island teetered on the brink of collapse. Environmental devastation caused by unrestrained mining left the soil nearly irreparable, while the economy crumbled. In a desperate attempt to save the country, authorities discovered a secondary phosphate deposit and resumed mining. However, this solution provided only temporary relief. In less than a decade, these new reserves were also exhausted, leaving Nauru once again on the edge of the abyss. With its economy shattered and land devastated, it seemed impossible for the situation to worsen, but rock bottom still held darker surprises. Thus we conclude our journey through Nauru, a small island filled with fascinating stories, mysteries, and important lessons. If you enjoy exploring unique cultures and unusual places, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to join us on our next adventures. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on our next exploration around the world.